Hey, what's up, everybody? Project Poke here. So in this video, I want to talk about right versus wrong and how often in our institutions that can get muddled and a whole lot of legalese. And in fact, I'm going to use an example that unfortunately I'm going to sound like a 4-year-old because of, I have to indemnify myself against legal liability. So back when I was a manager in a company, I attended leadership training. And they would give us scenarios that had happened in that company. And so one of the scenarios they presented us with was an example of basically what would we do? That kind of thing. So here it is. I'll repeat it for you. Male employee works in one area of a branch of this company. Female employee works in another area, same branch. Now they're dating. Female employee finds out that this male employee, he's apparently dating a multitude of women in different areas from where he works, and some in the same area he works, in this branch of the company. So the female employee in question, she gets upset by this, at this revelation. She decides to confront said male employee at work when they're both working. Now she leaves her area on her break. She heads down to his area. She was more, let's say in restaurant terms, front house. She dealt with the customers. And this male employee was back house. He dealt with the operational side of things. The cooks, that kind of stuff, dishwashers, So she's giving him up and down the road for being a cad and a liar and yada, yada. Well, he's not having it, right? So he decides, done listening to you, I'm going to walk outside. Still on property, still in the work area he's assigned to, but he heads out the door. So she follows him. And, she ain't said her piece yet. So she's still giving him up and down the road. Well, the male employee, he's had enough, and he decides to turn around and he decks her right on the chin. And knocks her out cold. And then she falls over, basically like a tree. Strikes her head on the pavement. She's out. This is all caught on camera. So he's walking around upset, he's yelling at her, seeing it on camera, and he walks off, leaves her there. It's another male employee, not the same one, that comes up to her and renders first aid, calls the EMTs, all that. So they ask us, you have this video, you've interviewed both of them, here's their statements, we read their statements. How would you decide? Now, it was a group effort, and being that I'd worked in this male employee's position, I'd worked my way up, and I've managed employees, both the male and the female one, in their areas. I knew their jobs, and I had a decision to make. And I used my powers of persuasion and swayed, folks in my group. Let's do this. Let's send a message. So here was my ruling. I said, 1, he's put up for immediate termination for assault of another employee. Give me your badge, or, you're not allowed to come back to work. You can't enter property. You're done. We'll sort this out with the union. And the second thing is, I'm going to turn this evidence over, or this videotape, everything else, to the local authorities. If that woman wants to press, I'm going to press charges, because we can't have this in our company. And the local authorities can decide whether they want to press charges or not. Because Whether the female employee wants to press charges or not, and I would take what she wants to do in consideration, but we also have the company to think about. We have other female employees. We have other male employees. We have to send a message. This cannot stand. We cannot have this where we're at. And so that's what we put forward. Then they told us what the company actually decided. You know what they decided? The female employee was at fault because she left her work area and continued to, quote unquote, harass the male employee. Now, were they technically right on policy? Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. But were they right ethically and morally? Even for morale's sake? Hell no. Not even close. No. And that's what I mean by right versus wrong. Let's just set aside for the second that this man struck her and knocked her out. That's one concussion. She falls over and hits the back of her head on that pavement. That's a secondary concussion. That's the kind of stuff that can leave you with permanent brain damage. You're never quite right after that. Now, there were other things outside of policy that we used to settle disputes, especially in that, gentleman's area I used to work in. And when I became a manager, we had a set of boxing gloves, 2 sets in the office. And, when 2 male employees got tussling or they got to, we'd say, all right, let's go over here where the cameras aren't. We'll give you these gloves. We'll let you sell it. 90% of the time they'd lose all, once it was, got to that, they'd lose all interest in it. Or if they did, it was just this play fight. Nobody really wanted to hurt nobody. And then we just did that to get it out of their system, and we'd talk it out. And then we'd tell them the consequences of, hey man, if you'd really kept going and you kept doing this is what would have happened to you. But in the case with that man to that woman, no sir. Now recently, I wrote a piece on Substack that good men are responsible for the behaviors of bad men. And I encourage you to read it, especially if you're a man, And I got a lot of women thanking me for it. And I didn't really know what to say to that, especially to each one, because, well, I don't want to appear ungracious or that this is ingratitude, because I do appreciate them saying that. Not so much for me, but it lets me know that I'm kind of on the right track. Because that's what I try to do with these videos or anything I write on Substack or anything that I'm doing. I'm trying to, put something out in the world that, hey man, this is the direction we all need to be going, me especially. And the reason I kind of felt, well, about the thanks, I just maybe not uncomfortable, but just, I felt sad. Because what I was saying, it's just right. I want folks to live in a world where it's just right. That women deserve respect. They deserve a space for themselves. They deserve to be treated like a human being, just like I am. Same thing with Black folks or indigenous folks or people of color or trans folks or gay folks, queer folk, whatever. It's civil rights. It should just be the standard. And there's all this legalese stuff of oh, well, we got to do this, we got to do that. It's like, well, this law isn't that fair. And this could, hurt my individual rights over here. It's about right versus wrong. All the laws, the only reason they're there is to help move the ball forward to what's right. I don't care if you're a company and you've got this policy and you've got, or this law or this or that. Yeah, that in the example I gave, the female employee left her area. She's running dude up and down the road. And I don't know if he deserved it or not. That was immaterial. But what I do know is whatever the hell she said doesn't deserve a punch in the mouth. It doesn't deserve her hitting the back of her head knocked out cold on that pavement. And at that moment that he did that, he don't walk away. You deal with it. You lost your temper. You stand tall. And you deal with it. And that's the problem. We've moved away from this right or wrong stuff. And we got to get back to it. We got to stand on business, men. Especially white men. I don't want to be the special one. I don't want to be the good one. I just want to be on the side of right. And you should want to be on it too. And if anything that I've said bothers you or you want to argue against it, chances are you ain't on the right side. Because what I'm saying, doesn't matter that I'm saying it. I'm just saying what's right. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Keep the faith, defend democracy, and I'll see you later.